You're watching Oilersnation Radio.
Welcome into Oilersnation Radio. There's only 3 of us today, and Pat. There's 4 of us today. Tyler and BM are off being bosses, so they've left us to our own amusement, but didn't actually tell me I was supposed to host the show, so I have been doing my best. Luckily, the Edmonton Oilers played last night, and there was 11 goals in the game, and very much a controversial talking point. So I think we should be okay for
content,
for some conversation, to say the least. But Rick, you were at the game last night. I guess we'll start with you.
Yep.
How was it?
Like I said, when I got in, I found it frustrating. Like, I mean, obviously that's the game you really want to win with the way that last year ended. I don't think the teams really had that same mentality.
I don't think so either. I think in certain moments, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
It was a very loose game too.
Yeah, maybe it's just because guys know how to get under each other's skin. I just didn't feel like there's any residual feelings from the end of June outside of the guys on the ice. I feel like the people in the crowd were a little more electric than normal. Like there's a little bit Christmas season, but there's a little bit of, we want to beat these guys. I have like a bone to pick with them. I got a feeling in me I don't really like.
I think too, with the way the game obviously started, giving up a shorthanded goal. What was it? Within 3 minutes of the game starting, whatever it was. And then penalty right after from Bouchard as well. I think maybe a level of frustration from the fans bled into like a bit more of an atmosphere, but there was a lot of ref you suck chants. I think there was even a Bob chant at one point. So it was good. I mean, Rogers Place, I think it's fair to say, has built up the atmosphere as the season has gone on. I think to start the year it was a bit dull. Not to call out the fans. I just mean in the sense of like games weren't as full as maybe they should be because of a hangover from playoffs of like spending so much money and all that. But it seems like now people have started to come through a little bit more. And since that St. Louis game of booing players, it seems like fans have a bit more attitude, I guess you could say. Dan, what did you think? You were at the game too.
I was, yeah. Yes. It was my first game this year. My first game since the Stanley Cup Finals last year. And it was, I feel like the crowd was kind of looking for something to get them into it.
Yeah.
And that power play should have been it. But I mean, to credit to the Florida Panthers, and you score a shorthanded goal, that's exactly what it's supposed to do, which is take the wind out of the sails of the building. And it did. But I really feel like the Oilers just kind of got caught in a game that the Florida Panthers play routinely. And for a team in Florida that hadn't scored a goal in the previous 2 games,
7 periods.
I mean, it's to me, it's pretty inexcusable to let them into the game and get 6 goals there. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was fiery, and especially when Kelly Sutherland made that call, the additional tee up, like he looks
like
pretty
he's having
childish.
a tantrum.
He looks pretty childish in that moment.
He's the one walking away from the dinner table. He slams his bedroom door.
And I feel like that was a moment of weakness that the Oilers fans pounced on, and I love it. And I hate the ref you suck chant. I think it's really just lazy. It sounds boring.
Learn his name and go Kelly Sutherland, you suck.
I think they should go the English version of what they say to the refs. Now what
are we supposed to yell then?
I can't say.
Really? They go that hard in the paint.
Look it up
WWE
yourself,
style.
That's the whole issue though. Like if you watch any type of soccer, what those refs put up with on the field as they're pulling out their yellow card or as whether they're doing whatever the hell they're doing is infinitely worse. If you ever watch football and you watch an official on the sideline and he has a coach just tearing into him.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse didn't look like he lifted his voice any louder than I'm talking right now.
It was,
and the fact that you have an official who's been around this long, who allows his emotions to take over and just has this big crybaby moment.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
I do always wonder what is said because those plays don't happen often, like a few times a year for sure for each team. But like when they do happen, I agree. Like, especially that moment in the game, you've probably got to not take it, but like,
maybe have a thicker skin,
but it's like, talk to the nurse and be like, hey, you cross the line. Next time we're going to have more problems. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of a weird one, but I always think in those moments, it's like, he must have said something pretty bad.
But
You know?
but that's why junior hockey, you have reports as a referee, and you give your details as to what goes on. Like there's some accountability there. And I mean, we're talking about right now in a culture where in the CHL, you get suspended for saying Mennonite.
So
and again,
bad.
Insane.
It's the parameters with which they want to play, whatever. At least the referees and the officials are honest and open about it. Like you said, in this situation, it's anybody's best guess. And it used to be in this league that the only way you could get teed up is if you showed up the referee. Darnell Nurse glided to the penalty box, and sure, he was saying some shit, but the door was closing. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to reconcile the referee acting like that when the whole play that got Darnell upset, in my opinion, he got shown up to be an idiot. Sam Reinhart leapt in the air on that play. And I don't know.
Terrible.
I don't know. Yeah. Like you said, Rick, when a referee can't control his emotions and lets his hurt feelings get in, that's when the fans have to pounce. That is our job. That's our moment to get in there. And, you know, like I think the Oilers did a great job to kill off most of that penalty, but it's a dagger.
Where was Jim to ask him why he's so pissy?
Yeah. Hey, holds
Jim,
our guys
But
accountable.
even in the
Jim didn't get
NFL,
his question
in the NFL, officials face reporters in some way, shape, or form. I don't think it's everybody, but you face some questions.
Yeah.
All we're asking here is for NHL officials to have to back themselves up, show some accountability,
Put out a statement. That's it. Just a statement.
answer a couple questions.
Do you think it should be because they do this sometimes in soccer? I think we've brought this up too. Like the ref will come out post game. I don't know if they do it as much as they used to, but either way, do you think it should be the ref comes out to the media and they get asked that question? Or do you think it should be they have to file a report that basically is like why I called this penalty, this penalty, this penalty? Like some of them will just be straightforward, like Darnell Nurse tripped Sam Reinhart. And that's fine.
But there should be some detail as to why you decided to tee him up and give a team a 4-minute power play in a situation that visually, as somebody that was at the game, did not look like it should deserve anything.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even think that was the most controversial decision of the night, to be honest. So we'll get into that right now with our delicious debate brought to you by Odd Company. We are pumped to partner with Odd Company Brewing to bring you the all-new Nation Beer. It's called Nation Beer, everyday lager. Perfect for the next big game or your go-to lager. Find it at Odd Company Brewing or at Liquor Connect, which is probably the easiest way to do it if you don't live by Odd Company. You can obviously go and check them. They're the best pizzas ever as well. But Liquor Connect, you're probably going to find one a little bit more local to you. But the big debate last night, and I've already had this one, kick or no kick. On the ice, Matthew Tkachuk goal on the power play after the Darnell Nurse unsportsmanlike conduct was determined as a goal with no kick in motion, a redirect. Obviously, decisions like that spark to larger conversations, and a lot of Oilers fans were unhappy with the decision. Dan, I'll start with you. Obviously, again, you were at the game. One, how was the reaction? I would imagine a lot of booing and more refs you suck chance. And two, kick or direction?
Well, yeah, the reaction in my area, because I was sitting far away from that goal, was muted. I don't think that everybody even knew what was going on per se.
And sorry, just for the record, it was not a challenge by the Oilers. It was reviewed by the league.
Booth review or booth initiated review.
Which is always confusing how they determine what is a review and what isn't a review.
The only way you know it basically is if you lose the challenge, if you have a penalty or not.
That is true.
All goals should be challenged in this situation. The team should not be forced to use a challenge here.
I would agree. Sorry, Dan, continue.
That's it's okay. That being said, though, upon actually seeing the replay when I got home, basically because I wasn't paying attention enough to see it on the screen, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the call not being pulled back. I don't see like a dangerous kicking motion. I think that's what they need to change the rule to, but. Even in the rule book where you say it's a distinct kicking motion, I just don't see it. It's a guy moving his leg or moving his foot to get in the way of the puck, and it went in the net.
So I found the official ruling from the league. So these rules, I believe 2019 is when the kicking rule changed again. It says plays that involve a puck entering the net as a direct result of a distinct kicking motion shall be ruled no goal. A distinct kicking motion for the purpose of video review is one where The video makes clear that an attacking player has deliberately propelled the puck with a kick of his foot or skate, and the puck has subsequently entered the net. Rick, what did you think?
Initially, I definitely thought it was a kick. Well, at least I said kick, like it's something you have to go back and look at. And the more I keep looking at this replay, I suppose I'd have questions about it.
I think that's a problem. There's questions still.
Yeah, because like when you say a kick, he's moving his foot in a kicking motion. However, it's not directed at the net. It's more directed the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think too.
And then if you kick it and it goes directly, and then that's a kick. But if you kick it and then it goes off the goaltender's pads, what are we calling that? Is that still a kick, or is that just off the rebound? Does that kill the kick? Like,
so it actually continues in here and says,
it's like we set this up.
A goal also cannot be scored on a play where the attacking player kicks any equipment, but then it also says a puck that deflects into the net off an attacking player's skate who does not use, I'm reading the wrong part. It basically says he cannot like kick it off someone.
He's not kicking towards the net, but he is directing his foot.
I just think kicking is such a vague term for the league. I think a good way to do it would be if your blades are on the ice, good goal. Matthew Tkachuk last night, his blade was not on the ice. His foot was obviously in the air.
But I can like turn my foot when it's not in the ice. Like to me, the kicking motion is whether it's a swing or not a swing in baseball.
I think so too.
Whether you cross that plane of, I don't even know what the hell to call it, but
certain degree of angle.
Yeah. Once your foot starts projecting forwards, that's your kicking motion. It doesn't have to start backwards. You can literally go from zero and then just forward. Yeah. That's a kick. This situation here, I do believe, after watching this a bunch of times, I do believe it's just a redirection. I would have allowed the goal.
I went back and watched a few examples.
As much as I hate that.
And I hate it too. I think the refs got it right because...
No, Toronto got it right. We're not taking. Well, we're not giving the refs any credit here.
They did call it a goal on the ice.
Yeah, that's okay. They also called Darnell's thing an extra 2. We're not giving them any credit. Thank you to the people in Toronto for doing this. Good job,
Toronto.
No, not the city. Not the individuals that did this.
The people specifically employed by the NHL made this decision.
Thank you.
I think a good way for the league just to describe a redirection and a kick. If Evan Bouchard shoots the puck from the blue line and Zach Hyman tips the puck in front of the net, you wouldn't say Zach Hyman shot that puck in front of the net, right? You would call it a tip or a redirection. Mm-hmm. I would say in the equivalent statement that Bouchard is kicking the puck with his shot. You know what I mean? Like, yes. I think that's a good way to kind of think about it. It's like,
yeah, your stick is doing a kicking motion.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like you're swinging through it, right? And I just think you look at the Tkachuk one, like, I know when you see it, like he slightly moves his foot up, but he doesn't like kick the puck in the net. He redirects his foot.
Mm-hmm. I've got the term. You're looking for propulsion from the kick, right? It's the propulsion of the puck going harder or forward in a quicker motion versus a puck that was already coming in fast and in fact slows down a little bit off of said skate. And again, this is where I say like the dangerous thing maybe comes into it because why are we talking about taking offense off the board? Because it could risk somebody getting hurt. In that situation, nobody's getting hurt there. And that's the part where it's like, that's why we have high stick calls that get called because you have to be responsible for your own stick. I just think you should be responsible for your own skate and let it all fly otherwise.
I think I said it before, just like blade is on the ice. Yeah. Kick it, do whatever you want. Yep. If your blade is on the ice, then it's fine. Like the Blake Coleman one.
You can't kick with your blade on the ice.
You can.
It would be very difficult.
Blake Coleman did that. That goal again when Blake Coleman was disallowed.
Yeah, okay,
but I know it's like, but that's the closest you could do it, right?
I was thinking, like going like this here and dragging your blade across.
It doesn't work. And also, it's very uncomfortable feeling for those around you, I might add. Pat, you were on the post-game show last night. You produced it.
Yeah.
Were there... I know what the reaction was from the fan base, but what was it?
Majority said it should not be a goal.
A clear kick, Rick, of course. Yeah. What were the reaction from the listeners?
Yeah, but like it's all fresh too in the after, right? Like everyone's hurting from the loss in general. So of course you want the call to go your way, but I think it's one of those where the more we talk about it, the more I think it makes sense that the refs and Toronto made the right call on that. Like I do respect the keep your skate on the ice thing. I think that's part of it too. And it's to your point, like if you're stopping your skates on the ice, it's more of a redirection. In this case, he does have it in the air and he does redirect it. So it seems a little suspect, but I agree with Rick. I don't think there's a whole lot of like forward motion with his skate enough for it to be a kicking motion.
Yeah. I saw it as soon as the replay came on. I was like, there's no way they're changing this. Because that's the other part of it too. They called it a good goal on the ice. They have to find the evidence then to.
But at least we learned that it's not the officials that have to overcall their own call, right? Like I know,
so it's good
up until I can't remember who you guys had on.
It was Dave Jackson.
There you go. Whatever it was, a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of finally broke it down.
Yeah,
and the officials have the ears on, and they get their little iPad in front of them, but really they're just there to kind of give their opinions towards the officiating crew. Correct. And they're the ones in Toronto who make the final decision.
Yeah. Dave was actually making some comments about it last night. And the one that made me laugh at the end of it, I'll read what his first reply was, but he's like, I've tried to explain to you what the league feels is a good goal. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I just tell you what they are. I was like, hey, fair enough. He put, in the olden days, it was a no goal. Today, the interpretation is different. He didn't propel, kicking in brackets, the puck. He moved his foot into the position to deflect the puck in the net. Legal play under today's rules.
Yes.
Dave is actually a great follow on Twitter, and he will respond to a lot of people. And to show that he isn't fully against, he doesn't always pick the ref side. He went out the other day and said Eichel should have been given a penalty for his hit on Matthias Ekholm.
What did he think about Kelly Sutherland's childish door slam?
He actually did make a comment on that. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so he responded. Someone put out there, obviously, like, what did you make of this? And he said, it appeared that Nurse crossed the line. And then he responded, the question was, that is true. Can you share some stuff that was said to you and the players in the moments that you called him? He's like, no, I can't. He's like, but I will say that pretty much any time I called an unsportsmanlike penalty in over 30 years of pro hockey, when the captain came over to ask me what was said, they usually skated away, nodding their head. See, because at first I had the same thought as you guys. I was like,
I would have a couple more questions for him then.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there was no showing up, and whatever he said was super low tone. So is there something I could say to you, sir, at this level that's going to get me an extra 2 minutes after you just gave me 2 minutes?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And then I'd be curious what his thoughts are on how he called the penalty. Because it does look a little tantrumy.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything about
out of control.
It was a bit
tantrumy.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of an odd one.
You took his toys away, and now he's upset. He's
it's always funny too when you read these comments. So if you just go to Dave Jackson's Twitter, I think it's ESPN Ref or something like that. Yeah, ESPN Ref NHL.
Aren't you reading off of it right now?
Yeah, but when I scroll down, it says right there. Every now and then it'll just show up the Cale Makar goal that we all thought was offside in the playoffs a few years ago. It was like, and this wasn't called offside. It's like, come on, guys. Like, we've been to the cup final since then. Like, we're 2 playoff rounds away from that. But it's very funny. But
never forget.
Yeah. On the Eichel thing, he said, yep, I think this was 100% a call. Sometimes when you're in those positions, and he wasn't necessarily defending the official in this spot, but just giving an example, he's like, you can be looking more at like the feet getting tangled up and stuff like that. No zone, it's not necessarily a cross check coming in, but either way, it's probably still warrants a 2-minute penalty to say the least.
Yeah, their feet were not close to each other.
No, they certainly will not. Were not. Sorry. Well, let's keep talking about last night's game, and our review of the game is brought to you by Great Clips. Great Clips has more than 4,400 hair salons throughout the United States and Canada, making it the largest hair salon brand in the world. Great Clips hair salons are open 7 days a week, including nights and weekends, so customers can get their haircuts when they need them. Visit greatclips.com or use the Great Clips app to check our hours for a salon nearby. So obviously the Edmonton Oilers lost 6-5 last night. I don't know if you guys heard the news.
We were both.
Is that how it ended?
I believe so. I closed my eyes. My dad actually turned the TV off right after Draisaitl lost the draw with 7 seconds left or whatever happened. He's like, they're not scoring. And he's like, what if they did? What if they did and we missed that? Oilers lost 6-5 last night. Very chaotic, especially in the third period. A lot of talking points about Evan Bouchard and Stuart Skinner, which is typically what happens after the Oilers lose games.
Yeah, but you can't stop there. There's definitely other names like you mentioned.
100%. And that's what I wanted to ask. But first, let's just talk about Evan Bouchard. Obviously, the game starts out poorly for him. He falls down on the power play. They score, he gets back up. They come back down the ice. He gets called for an interference. I don't know if you guys saw his post game yesterday. He was quite emotional, and you could see just a level of frustration by himself. Like he was blaming himself, kept saying, like, I need to be better. Like I can't let these things kind of like linger for so long. But I guess, Rick, we'll start with you. Like, what were your thoughts just on Bouchard last night? Because I think it's also fair to say he's been way better. He just had a bad night.
That's just what it is, honestly. So for that first goal, unfortunately, the person working our section, a lot of people walked down the stairs so I definitely missed it. I had 3 individuals walk in front of my eyes and I missed everything. I caught the end of the breakaway. Didn't work out so well for us. Look, I appreciate the fact that if they're going to have a bad game, they all do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That
like the last thing you want is one guy to have a bad game and the next game someone else. If we're going to do it, let's all do it at the same time.
Yeah.
We still put up some goals. We gave the crowd something to cheer about and we move on. It's a garbage game for me. Didn't work out so well. A lot of things went bad by a lot of different players. You throw the tape in the garbage. You've got a game on Thursday. Mm-hmm. The most important thing about this is how you respond and come out and play a team like Boston, who is available to be beaten. They are struggling right now. You have an opportunity right now to maybe restart your winning streak, continue this hot streak you have going right now. Don't allow one bad game to affect what's been going on in the last 15 or so.
In all situations last night, Evan Bouchard was on the ice for 3 goals against, but on the ice for 2 goals for. He outshot when he was on the ice 16-7, which was the best by a defenseman on the Oilers last night. There was a few forwards.
His mistakes always
they're just
magnified.
So clear.
So will Stu's, so will Nurse's, but no one's going to sit here and mention that Ekholm tripped on himself.
No.
Tripped over nothing, right? He doesn't... So Bush falls at the blue line and gets torn up about it. Ekholm falls, almost the same type of play. It gets stripped off him, and nobody says anything about it. Like I said, everyone had there were a lot of bad games last night. It's a garbage game. Throw the tape away, move on.
Ty Emberson was the lesser of 6 chaotic evils last night on defense. Honestly, it just felt like Brett Kulak was lost in the sauce a couple of times in the offensive zone. Troy Stecher had one of the more confusing games I've ever seen from an NHL defenseman, let alone Troy Stecher, who to me is just steady Steve kind of mentality. Steady Stetch. But yeah, so I agree with you, Rick. I just I worry that in that situation and in those games where we think that that's like an emotional game, that they were given so many opportunities to kind of right the ship last night and just weren't able to do it. But again, like you said, onwards and forwards, go to Boston or go against Boston and catch a team that's, struggling again and was supposed to be in a much better position than they are right now.
I don't even think it's helpful to mention names right now. Just because there's so many guys who had bad games.
I think our entire blue line was poor.
That's why I just said. Yeah. That's why I listed them
and
all.
Your goaltender wasn't great.
You already listed it. Nurse had not a great game. Nurse was out to lunch, punching or elbowing Tkachuk in the back of the head and just getting emotional all over the ice.
Tripped on that breakaway coming out of the box after that.
Ekholm and Bouchard have been concerning for the last few games for me. Like, I just feel like there's not the same kind of cohesiveness that they've had there before. But again, just get it figured out against Boston. And then you got 2 trap games coming up against Saturday or on Sunday and Saturday. Possible trap games, I should say, where the San Jose Sharks are a team that we've dusted the last few times. And then Ottawa is a team that's
you know what you do after this game? You play Dan Campbell's presser from the other day.
The one
from yesterday, the radio show. They were 11-0, and we had a bad game, and we were eating fillets, and now we're eating moldy bread again, and that's like it's a bad game. Move on.
No wonder the Lions going to win anything forever. Right. I think this is funny, and I again totally understand why it's not brought up, but like the Panthers also sucked last night. Mm-hmm. Neither team was good, and there was one play. I can't remember what ended up going on the breakaway. On the 2, I think it was 2-on-1, let's say like a 3-on-1 or something. But Kulikov and Nico Mikkola both hit the same player at the halfway. And it just basically, I don't even know who the forward was.
Well,
but
that was Connor, and then he pokes the puck up for the Hyman breakaway, the forehand backhand upstairs.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. The Oilers didn't score. This was in the third period, it would have been. But no, second period. But both those guys go to hit it. If that was like two Oilers defensemen, that would be everywhere. Well, all over the city. And obviously,
Kulikov was.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like so much blame on the others. I'll say. Yeah. The only thing that went right for Florida is that they got that 6th goal. That is the only thing. I think both teams were so poor.
If your goalies are going to look equally as bad, I'd rather have the one who gets paid a third of the other price.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think for Florida, they did exactly what they needed to do, which was fight and scrap their way back into that game.
More physical,
and then that was noticeable, I think. And everybody, to a person in the stands around me, was saying like when they see those hits show up on the scoreboard and it was 33-12 or whatever. And it's like, yeah, of course they're hitting us more because we were controlling the play or we had the puck more. But again, and I said it to my buddy right before the Podkolzin fight that you like Florida is going to be a team that is going to try and drag you down to their level. And they're going to do that every single time. And we can't let them do that to us emotionally because we're just more skilled. And everybody knows that this team is begging for Evander Kane to come back because it just lacks that certain punch, that edge, that sharp knife deterrent. But you know, in the meantime, you have to be able to overcome and just rise above that crap and let them bleed it, let them play in the weeds.
But you got to match their physicalness. You got to we don't hit with intent.
Yes.
They hit to hurt. They hit to hurt. We hit just because it's kind of like coach told me I have to. I want guys who want to hit the guy. If you hit him in the first period and hit him in the second period, by the time the third period comes around, he's coughing around that puck because he doesn't want to get hit again. So you learn this when you're 12.
So, okay, these numbers back me up. Thank goodness. I felt like there was only 2 players who were playing somewhat physical last night. Podkolzin, obviously, got in a fight. 5 hits on the night for Podkolzin. Derek Ryan and Kapanen both had 2, and everybody else had 1 or 0. 4 Oilers players last night had 0 hits.
Emberson had to have 1, right?
Emberson had 4. He was the other player I noticed.
Because I was like, there was one behind the net that I was really impressed with.
Yeah, and like, he's doing well, for sure. He's really coming around. But like you said, like he was probably our best defenseman yesterday, which isn't good.
No,
he's sick.
And remember, that's the home ice hit crew too.
Yeah.
So they're generous.
Yeah, they are generous. I'm sure. I think like Podkolzin and Emberson are probably consistently around like 3 plus most nights. But yeah, like you said, like guys who are getting 1, it's like I kind of grazed them. That'll work.
But even then, like even with those numbers, they still got dragged down into that physical game and let Florida just get emotionally back in it and fire it up. It just frustrates.
So the final hits last night were 39-21 for Florida. Ironically, I think the Oilers have the most fighting majors in the NHL. Or probably close, right?
Yeah, there's
like
somebody
top 5 at least.
Yeah, they're up
which
there.
is very ironic.
It is without their fighter. Yeah,
I wonder when Kane comes back, whenever that is, playoffs, February, whatever it is, how much Podkolzin kind of sparks him to also stay in the battle and be physical and all that kind of stuff. So,
I wonder how much Kane brings back because after he got his arm stepped on, obviously there was a step back in that type of, and as well as,
rightfully, totally.
Rightfully so. That's insane. But I wonder with this much time off and having to watch this stuff, and I know he's probably sitting there last night watching that stuff, getting a little, tingly, wishing he was out there and being able to do something back. I'm really curious to see what kind of game he brings.
Do you think it'll be positive or negative?
I think it'll be positive.
Yeah.
I think anything he does when he's healthy is going to be positive. But I want to know how much of the physical game, how much of the nasty game, how much of the fighting by February, probably not a lot of it, but how much of that is he going to bring back with him?
Yeah.
Are we going to see an older version of him? Or are we going to see what happens to a lot of these guys at his age? As you get older, you kind of tone it down a bit. Everything hurts a little bit more.
Yeah.
You get a little smarter. You get a little more mature,
I think one thing that'll be interesting with Kane is we've seen him in a small sample size be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he comes back and he's like, hey, Evander, we need 40 games, including playoffs. Give us everything you've got. And if you can just lay it all on the line and then be like, we'll LTIR you again to start next season if you want. We'll just play 40 games again. It doesn't matter to us.
That is my concern. And I guess I go back to the Maroon incident. And when he came back from that, now obviously his wrist was banged up from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, there's part of me that just feels like Oiler fans are just like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be fine once Evander comes back. We're going to figure this out. Toughness will be back. The team's not going to be pushed around anymore. I just don't necessarily agree yet.
Well, like I said, it's going to have to depend on his mindset. Mm-hmm. We do know now after yesterday, he had 9 needles in game 1, 7 in game 2.
But that's not
insane.
It's crazy.
But that's not a guy I want to be counting on to be my toughest player.
But he's going out there. He's putting himself through that.
Yes.
He's going to be fully healthy now.
Yeah.
So we know what we got out of him last year, and that was 9 shots in a game, Evander. Mm-hmm. I want to see what we get healthy off of that loss, off of the whole season where he's had to sit back and watch because of more nagging injuries.
Yeah.
We're going to get a full out healthy Evander Kane.
And to your point, Liam, we are currently tied for 3rd in the league with Fighting Majors, behind the Utah Hockey Club at first with 13 Fighting Majors. And then the Bruins and the Devils each have 12. We have 11 tied with Nashville and Los Angeles.
We're just fighting on Utah.
The Utah Hockey Club has been a smattering of a bunch of different guys, including Liam O'Brien, though. Liam O'Brien,
of course.
Big tuna.
Breaking news.
Devin Shore didn't clear waivers.
The Edmonton Elks have made a trade.
Oh, Edmonton Elks?
The Edmonton Elks.
On this show, no less. It's quite breaking.
Yeah.
It's quite breaking.
You ready,
Go
Rick?
ahead.
Is it a defensive end from Toronto?
Is a quarterback.
Oh,
The Edmonton Elks have acquired the rights
Zach Caleros?
to veteran quarterback Cody Fajardo
Fajardo. Okay.
in exchange for the rights to McLeod Bethel Thompson. That's probably good, right? That seems
that
good.
means that there's going to be less. Well, I guess in theory, there's less of a logjam, but you've just inserted another.
But I think Fajardo was a backup last year, right?
Yeah, Trey Ford's your quarterback going forward. Yeah. I know full well that McLeod was more than willing to play the role of the secondary old guy veteran this year.
Just makes too much money. Isn't that kind of
no? His contract was up though, so you'd have to sign a fresh one.
Gotcha.
That's interesting. It's cool. I'm not against it. That's for sure.
Well,
it's cool to see the Elks back.
Making news. A CFL Player Association report today. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, it was terrible.
No. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's brutal.
A lot of red.
Oh no.
A lot of red.
A lot of red on
these are a lot of they scored them like they did back in elementary school for us with the old letter grades.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there were a lot lot of the lower grades there.
For what? Like this is franchises?
So there's like 8 categories. Well, that's players voted on.
That's nutrition was like a D-.
That's not surprising at all.
With
travel was F or something.
Travel was F. Dealing how we dealt with their families was really bad.
The Elks have been I would say a unmanaged disaster since Len Rhodes left.
Nutrition, I would agree. Nutrition and diet was F. Family treatment was D-, along with team travel. Training camp was also an F. They did get a B+ in equipment. And then also football operations was B-. Management and administration was a C. And training and medical was a C. They were the only organization in the league to get an F and the only organization to get 2 Fs. So good for them. Mm-hmm. Made it back.
Only one direction to go from here, gentlemen.
It cannot get worse unless they all end up.
Just for the record, plus 1,800 right now.
So what? Win the Grey Cup?
I suggest a little sprinkle.
I would not. Sticking to last night's game a little bit, Stuart Skinner fell lower than his previous totals. He has been on a hell of a run recently.
Tyler had him so close to 900.
Yeah, he did. He was kind of playing with fire there.
Yeah, he may have brought that one on.
Stuart Skinner, since the New York Rangers game, has not had a save percentage lower than 929 until last night when he had a 786, allowed 6 goals on 28 shots. I'm going to say, I don't know which one you would have wanted him to have. I look through all those goals and I just think it's like, okay, short-handed breakaway, kick back post wide open.
Off the head and in. You can't let that one in.
But I feel like that one's a weird one.
We cancel it out because Kapanen did his little one right after that was just as bad.
I think Bobrovsky allowed worse goals than Skinner yesterday.
Easily.
But the over the head thing is interesting because I agree. It looks terrible. And that's probably the one I would agree. Okay, I'm wrong there that you want back. But like it hits him and then Emberson is like right on him. So how is he supposed to like grab that puck and kind of protect it? You know, I feel like it's a difficult one. Not a good luck by any means. Obviously not even Sam Reinhart. The entire Oilers team just decided to stop playing hockey because they thought Jeff Skinner was hit too hard in front of them.
Play at the other bench.
And then all of a sudden, Nico Mikola's scoring goals against us. That guy does not score goals. I'll pull it up quickly. So he's 28 years old. He's played 284 games and has 11 career goals. And he is scoring.
That's very much in the red.
That is dark red, to say the least. And obviously Sam Ryan off the back of the head. People were criticizing Skinner for that one. So you'd be like, pinch the post. It's like, man, he could not have been on the post even more. And then people are also saying it's a bad goal because his positioning was bad with RVS or H, whatever it is.
Yes.
It's like, okay, but he is trained to do it that way. Every goalie in the league is.
Yes.
And then the last one, Verhaeghe, wide open in the slot. Like he actually made some saves yesterday.
100%.
But I don't know. Obviously, point up 6 is not good. But I would 100% argue that Bobrovsky was the worst goalie of the two last night.
He was.
Comparatively, and I think that was a key, was that we had Bobrovsky to look at the other end of the ice. Really just, I think for me, it was just seeing the night and day comparison between the defense. And Bobrovsky was struggling the whole night. He was fighting rebounds. There was pucks that were sitting in front of him and he just looked like he wasn't sure. But his
Brown goal is bad.
But his defense were always there, always supporting and always collapsing. And the Edmonton defense just doesn't do that.
No, they had a bad game.
They just don't do it. And yes, you're right. A bad game.
It was a bad game.
But like organize. And I guess that's just where I think I might have personally looked at Skinner more than I did at the defense, just because we were able to see the Florida defense helping out Bobrovsky more. And Bobrovsky was just fighting it the whole night.
Defensive metrics were very high up there.
Oh,
as a team, which
very good.
Frustrating because it doesn't feel like that.
No,
but it's because we weren't scoring at the very beginning of the year. That's why those weren't W's.
Yeah. They went kind of countering out themselves.
Yeah, but if you look at like a lot of defensive zone metrics, we are in the top 10, top 8.
But
just a bad game. That's all.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to the feedback and people getting mad about the back of the head goals. Like when you look at the NHL from 5 years ago, this was unheard of. Yeah. Players were never trying that because really at that angle, that shot might be a delay of game penalty, arguably as much as it could go off the back of the head. But they are trying shit now that they would have never dreamt of trying. And you saw it with John Tortorella. He's lost the fight. And I think that there's a lot of talented guys out there that think that they can shoot from those positions and score with them. And they're right.
They can. So he's number 29.
So stop getting on the goalies for like they have to figure this stuff out, of course, but every goalie around the league is being scored off of the back of their heads and the bank shots off of their backs that just never were tried in the
Connor does it quite easily.
I think he tried to do it last week. If I'm remembering correctly, I can't remember which one.
Leon tried it a little while ago as well.
Yeah, like I don't think it's happened this season yet for them, but they've tried it. Yeah. And also too, like, again, like people saying like Skinner needs to test this, like play this a little bit better. It's like, what do you want him to do? Like wrap his head around the post? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
No, if you stay on your feet though, like if you talk to some other older goaltenders who don't like that, the way they play that, if you stay on your feet, you've got your shoulder tucked in there, you tuck your hip against the post, you can close that off. It's just not how they train goalies this right now. Or they train goalies to do this. It probably has a higher percentage of less mistakes. However, it does not eliminate all mistakes. Therefore, you're still going to see one or two.
Over to producer Pat. Was there anything from last night's game that stood out to you?
Anything at all?
Anything at all. Whatever you want. I know we covered like quite a few things, but I thought I'd give you the final word.
Yeah, I think just the main thing was the Oilers stopped playing hockey and they were playing against the Florida Panthers. They weren't playing hockey. And I think that's exactly what the Panthers game is. And that's exactly what they did to us at the start of the Stanley Cup final last year. That's how they play. Tkachuk leads that charge. Bennett's right there with them. And the Oilers fell into it. Nurse was, he was heated. They were, even like you said, the Jeff Skinner, that whole play was a disaster and a perfect example of them not playing hockey in that moment. And I think that's, it's just a good learning lesson for the team. And I think, like Rick says, it's just a bad game that you have to look at and realize that they took your attention to detail away.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of nip that, it'll be fine and you can just move on. But I think they just stopped playing the puck and started playing the players out there on the ice, and it just kind of ruined it for them.
I think especially at the start of the third period. I think I just didn't come out and play at all.
Mm-hmm. And they looked really bad to start the third period.
Oh, it was brutal.
It was like it was against Vegas. We won that game. We won it relatively handily, which was cool. But outside that first period, I don't think we didn't look like the better team. Just before they scored those 2 goals, there were about 2 shifts before that where it looked like they thought they were playing against like a peewee team. We were up 5-0 and they were standing up straight, kind of play on the back of your feet, not on the front. And they got walked a couple times. And I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Before we get on to the lineup report, Jeff Merrick has reported something from 2019, which you two need to hear about. And everybody else listening on this. Pat,
what
did
I think
you see this?
I haven't seen this.
What do you think it is?
We'll just go ahead.
Jeff Merrick said on his show, The Sheet, which is over on Daily Faceoff, that there was talks after the 2019
I thought you were going to talk about when he pumped up Tyler.
Oh, no. We'll forget about that.
Okay, good.
There was conversations about trading Nikita Kucherov to the Edmonton Oilers for Leon Draisaitl.
And when?
2019.
So this proves that Ken Holland listens to ONR. Because he was listening to Nation Dan talk about how
trying to get rid of him.
But remember, I was saying that I don't know if he should be in the NHL right now. Yeah, and so it sounds like Uncle Kenny was listening to Dan.
There's probably a lot of conversations we'll never hear about. So this doesn't bother me too much. And what was the conversation? If Holland was the one picking up the phone, all right. But if I guess we
to Julien Brisebois
at the time.
I think it was.
Yeah, 2019 would have been Heisman.
And whatever. If Tampa Bay's calling up and going, hey, listen, we would like to get that Draisaitl kid off you. What are your thoughts on Kucherov? There are probably a lot of those types of conversations that we are not privy to that I'm not going to be overly upset about this one.
So after the 2019 season, which I think this was, there
June
it is.
2019.
It was
July.
May 2019. This was when Ken Holland arrived. So this was Ken Holland on the job. Leon Draisaitl on 105 points that year. Nikita Kucherov. If this had happened, both teams would have been fine, to say the least. Like, you're trading these two guys. Kucherov had 128. That must have been his first Hart season, I would think. Yes, he won the Hart that year. That is insane. There's a quote here from Jeff Merrick on what he said. He said, that year there was conversations, and I've had this confirmed that there were conversations between Tampa Bay and Edmonton, and the 2 primary changes were Nikita Kucherov for Leon Draisaitl.
I want to know what else is involved here.
Well, there is a bit more.
Who's throwing the extra draft picks in here? Who's paying a little bit more to get the better player? Who's considered the better player at the time? That
was the conversation. I'm not sure how close they got. I think Edmonton may have also wanted Anthony Cirelli, and that's when things got kind of meh. Well, that's not going to happen. If it's not as if they didn't consider massive changes, because there was a conversation between the two teams. So,
and when was Tampa Bay winning their cups?
They won the year after. Yep. They won back-to-backs 2019, 20, 2020, 21.
Remember they won the one in Edmonton?
So Kucherov didn't play.
So in May of their first cup.
No. The one that was a season before.
He won the Hart, and then they won.
He won the Hart, then they won, then he took the year off.
That's
pretty insane. I mean, the what ifs are obviously always crazy to think about, but if the Oilers had Kucherov and Anthony Cirelli right now, I mean, Draisaitl, I love him. I love him more than both those
What
players.
other things does Merrick have in his pocket?
He said something the other day.
Does he just have a whole like bag full of stuff? He's like, well, in the first like 3 months here, I'll just drop little bombs every now and then.
He said something else. The other
Really
day
get
on his show. I was like,
some heat for the show.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Crazy guy though. Crazy fella. There was new lines today at Oilers practice.
Yeah.
Please tell.
No Kucherov on the lines.
No Kucherov or Anthony Thorelli. Anthony Thorelli. That was
Neither one of those three.
Do you remember the World Juniors one year? Thorelli was there and his face-off percentage was like 85%.
I didn't.
I will never forget that because if I remember correctly, like he wasn't even doing that well in a tournament. He was just undefeated on draws. Like could not lose on draws. New lines at Oilers practice today. No Zach Hyman on the ice because his nose is as big as his head right now.
I would really appreciate a photo
of an update.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting.
Just I know he's on the couch, he's watching, whatever soap opera he's into right now. Just give us a quick little selfie.
We'll do the lineup report brought to you by Bet365. The show is presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and use the promo code NATION. And you can, I can't remember what you get, but it's really good promo code. You should definitely try it out. The Edmonton Oilers lines at practice today, like I said, no Zach Hyman. So filling in his spot on the first line was Viktor Arvidsson alongside Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Connor McDavid. Second line is staying the same. Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Kasperi Kapanen. Third line, this is when things get a little crazy, folks. Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown.
Yeah, the ultimate line from the playoffs.
Fourth line, Jeff Skinner, Derek Ryan, Corey Perry. I'll read out the blue line shortly, but what are your thoughts on the forward group, Dan?
I mean, the Viktor Arvidsson inclusion leads me to believe that Viktor Arvidsson is practicing, and that's all I can confirm right now.
I can confirm a little bit more if you'd like me to.
Go ahead.
Kris Knoblauch said today at practice, Arvidsson is a possibility to play on Thursday versus Boston. If not Thursday, then expect him back on the weekend.
So probably not Thursday because he's just filling in for a spot right now. We know Hyman's not missing any games, so Hyman's going to be taking that spot. If he was actually going to be playing on Thursday, I believe someone else would be taking Hyman's spot as the filler inner, and he would have his real spot on whichever real line he's going to be playing.
Because more context to that too, yesterday, Viktor Arvidsson played defense at practice.
This is true.
He was a right shot defenseman.
Bouchard's spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And just to confirm, breaking is Zach Hyman's nose.
Nice.
He broke his nose, if you can believe it.
Is Jeff Skinner long for this lineup?
He probably is the guy that comes out, which I also think is a bit of a shame in the sense of like, he's been doing okay recently, but last night was not one of his performances. But with that said, since the start of December, he has 4 points in 7 games. As a third line player, that's good. He had a big goal the other day against the Vegas Golden Knights too.
The only thing I'll say here is like, when you look at that line, his line, Skinner, Ryan, and Perry, he's not the guy that has to go get the puck. I know these guys aren't going to be really playing. They're going to cycle it. He's going to get some shooting opportunities. He's going to get his level of competition is going to be obviously a level down compared to whether he's playing on the second or third line. I know it's not flashy where he is, but I think as long as he keeps a good attitude, he can still find his opportunities to score here. He does not need to go to the corners for this. Let Derek Ryan get in there. Let Corey Perry get in there and do your thing. When it came to Henrique and Brown, none of them really seemed like the guy to go to the corner there. No one really had to go in to get the puck. And we talked about this with Leon's line, is that, it's better to have guys that are going to go in there, get dirty, get the puck to Leon.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of Skinner, it looks bad. It sucks. He's on the fourth line, but I think he fits in there. The type of player he is fits in there.
I don't hate it. And I think if anyone's deserving to go down the lineup, it probably is him. But I don't know. Like I like Connor Brown and Janmark's having his moments.
Is it not weird we're not trying to find someone who can play center? Out of these 11 out of 12 guys here?
We're trying to find someone to play center?
Yeah, like giving them some goes because 11 of these 12 guys, I think, are playing on, obviously are going to be playing on Saturday, and one of them's have to come out. And I think if you look at that lineup, the guy you take out is Derek Ryan.
Okay.
Outside of the fact that he takes a ton of draws and has been very good in the circle this year.
All right. So hear me out.
Okay.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Henrique, your 4 centers on Saturday.
One more time.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Henrique, your 4 centers on Saturday.
Who's on?
And
Okay.
then you put whoever you want next to McDavid and
No, you
Hyman.
have to put. You can't just put whoever you want.
Arvidsson.
Arvidsson and Hyman.
Yeah. And then everything else is the same. I honestly think, like we say, and I couldn't care less what hand Derek Ryan shoots with.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I like Draisaitl, Henrique, even McDavid are all good enough face-off guys, Nuge too, like that they can take them on their weak side if they have to. Like Derek Ryan is not that valuable. There is moments throughout the game where those guys have to take face-offs on their weak side anyway. That Derek Ryan, just because he's a right shot centerman, that doesn't make him valuable enough to be in this team. Right?
Was
shouldn't.
Arvidsson killing penalties?
Sure.
Was he?
I think he was. Derek Ryan isn't killing penalties right now, I don't think. It's very little.
It's kind of, to me, just loser hockey talk to keep, hemming in everybody into those positions. Like whether it's you have to have a right-handed shot defenseman or a centerman that can win draws. Like it should be the best players on the ice. And I agree with you.
Percentage-wise, an easier position for some guys.
Yes, that's true. But I think that we have enough talented forwards that can take the face off and then be replaced by another guy that can just play the defense. Like I think of Connor Brown. Maybe he can't take face offs, but he can play defensively sound enough to play a center position. I
agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I do agree with you, Liam. I think that
He played 3 less minutes than the next guy.
Derek Ryan, is pointless at this point.
it's defeating the team. It's taking talent off of the ice that you could find elsewhere and have them doing something with it.
So Derek Ryan played 7 seconds on the penalty kill yesterday. I'm assuming he went out and won a draw.
Probably, yeah.
I'm assuming, there was a crossover. There was one between the second and third period, I think, a penalty. I would bet he went out. There was a stoppage with 7 seconds left. He went out and won a draw.
Yep.
I almost guarantee that's what happened. I don't recall, but I think the Oilers and I agree with this, are doing right by Derek Ryan right now in the sense of like, 1, you kind of need him because you don't have enough forwards. 2, Noah Philp isn't playing as well as you should have. By all accounts, he's getting better. And 3, he is a dad. Christmas is coming. Let him be here until the new year and be like, hey, you're not playing.
Yeah.
You're not doing well enough here. Another part of it too is that Alec Regular isn't accounting towards the cap right now.
He's still hurt.
So if you wanted to, you could just have 13 forwards until you activate Regular and then go from there. Would you send down Derek Ryan, Pat?
Yeah, I think all your points are fair. And not only that, I mean, giving Derek Ryan a couple nights off probably wouldn't hurt the guy in general. Like not even so much as a demotion, just like, hey, take a seat. We'll see what Arvidsson has. We'll see what the lines look like. And maybe Skinner plays himself off the lineup at that point, or maybe Kapanen is like a clear cut at that point. Right. So I don't see the issue with getting rid of Derek Ryan for a couple of games. And I actually like the lineups that you threw out there. Throw Arvidsson up on the first line, see what he's got.
Yeah. And I think too, I said this on O&E the other day, like I don't think Kasperi Kapanen should lose his spot in the top 6 just because Arvidsson's healthy.
He scored a couple of goals.
He's playing well. And also too, like the argument will be that Arvidsson didn't lose his spot because he's playing bad. He lost it because he got injured. It's like, he's also been out for like 6 weeks.
Is it only been 6 weeks? He's
been out forever. It feels like. I don't remember the last time he played a game.
So I'm curious, like we still don't know the injury, right? All we know is lower body.
There's only 2 injuries in hockey and a broken nose. But that one was just obvious.
And almost getting hit in the penis by a stick.
True. 4 injuries in hockey.
Yeah, that's
penis
terrifying.
injuries, broken nose, upper body, lower body.
So if he's been out this long, can we at least sit here and say we are not rushing this dude back? This dude is coming back at 100%. So that you can feel confident putting him on the first line. Whereas, if this is further down in the season and you're like, oh shit, we need you. You need to come back. And okay, well, we'll shelter you a bit on the third line.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not a bad strategy either. But it's such a mystery what has happened to this man. But the blue line's also different. You guys want to hear about that one?
Yes, please.
Ekholm.
Mm-hmm.
Bouchard.
So different.
Second pairing, Nurse Kulak, Stetcher, Emberson. I think we're seeing that throughout the game anyway. That doesn't make a big difference. Maybe they're just giving him some practice time, perhaps. Too. I would not be surprised if the pairings are just exactly the same when we get back into.
I like Kulak with Nurse.
I like him too. I like Stetcher with Nurse. I like Emberson. I like all of our defensemen.
I prefer keeping Emberson in that third spot.
I agree.
Just because I don't want him like overeating right now.
Yeah. Let the kid munch on his baby food for the time being. Mm-hmm. Get some block shots, hit a couple of guys, get the confidence. He's playing really well.
Yeah, for the old gambling there. Take a look at his block shots. You can find them.
He's getting a ton of block shots.
Hopefully quietly.
That's a wrap on our Bet365 lineup report. Stuart Skinner looks like you'll probably miss a start because Calvin Pickard plays on Thursdays. Our pal Cal plays on Thursdays. And Liam writes the game notes on Thursdays. Everybody knows that. And it's also a back-to-back on the weekends. So get Skinner's stats padded back up against San Jose. For our Cal pal against Ottawa on Sunday. But yeah, that's the end of the Bet365 lineup report. Devon Shore was on waivers. He, I believe, cleared.
He did clear. We confirmed it before the show.
Believe it or not. But you're on a mission.
I am. So
tell us.
I'm a mission from Dusseldorf,
which is in Germany. For people who don't know.
So yes, if you haven't been keeping up with Devon Shore, as you're probably not Liam, but he signed as a free agent this year with the Minnesota Wild. He has one. No, he's a +1.
Yeah, he has
games.
No points.
That's it.
He had the post against your others.
Yeah, but he's a +1. So cleared waivers again today. Has spent a little bit of time with Iowa even this year. I don't think that he's an Iowa player. Okay. I think he's an everyday NHL guy, but he isn't there. So there's an opportunity for him. In the DEL, a league that is full of teams that are sponsored by Red Bull and Audi. There's an LA Kings owner owns one of the teams in the DEL, SAP Volkswagen. Dusseldorf sits at the bottom of the table. They are the Edmonton of this table. We're
at the top of the table.
They don't have a lot of sponsors. They don't have a lot of money behind it. But
we have a billionaire.
But even sitting at 14th place with only 20 points, they are 5 points back there's 5 points separating the last three teams in the league. And one of those teams does get relegated.
Oh, they do.
So I have it on good authority that sponsors of the team have agreed to open up their pocketbooks and they're trying to find somebody to come and help this franchise. This franchise just got pumped 8-0 by Red Bull on Sunday. They need some offense. They need some spirit. And if there's anything, Liam, you can confirm for me, it's that Germans love Devon Shore.
I can confirm. I've experienced it.
Oilersnation DE will be so on top of this that Dusseldorf will just not even understand the page views and the content and the people that are coming in to cheer this team on and see this story become something. And to me, it's like, it's the dream of every hockey player to be able to come in and save a franchise and take a team from the bottom and run them back up to the top. So Dusseldorf, I'm putting the call out to you. Devon, I'm putting the call out to you. Get together, have your people talk to their people, and let's get this figured out. Let's save Dusseldorf. Let's make Devon Shore a hero in Germany once again. And let's spread a little bit of fun and Christmas cheer around the holidays too. So
I'm in.
There you go.
Dusseldorf have 6 Canadian players on their team.
Amazing crew.
I will run through them very quickly.
Yes.
We have Brendan O'Donnell from Winnipeg, Manitoba, former 6th-round pick by the Tampa Bay Lightning, played for the Penticton Vees and the University of North Dakota. Never played in the NHL, but did have 80 points in the ECHL one year.
There you go.
Games, so not bad. Then we have Tyler Goudet from Hamilton, Ontario, played for the Sioux Greyhounds and did play in the NHL. He played 20 games in the NHL with Arizona, and that's it. A lot in the AHL. He has 9 points this year. He has undisclosed injury. They don't have 2 injuries in the DL. They just have 1 undisclosed. Tyler Angle. Maybe it's Angel. It's definitely Angle. Played in the OHL for Windsor. Played 4 NHL games for the Columbus Blue Jackets. 7th round pick. This one people will have heard of. Paul Postma from Red Deer, Alberta. Heard of him, Rick?
Didn't he play Winnipeg?
He did play in Winnipeg and the Atlanta Thrashers. That makes sense.
Wow.
And also Boston. How many games did he play in the league?
I didn't think he was going to be that old.
205 games in the league, 35 points. Did just leave the NHL a while ago, 2018. Kyle Kaminski.
Yeah, Chicago.
There you go.
Yep. Colorado and Chicago. Yep. And the last but not least. Oh no, that's my Tony Bra tweet. He was the last one.
There's two other notables to know, Liam. Henrik Hockland is their goalie, and he's the best goalie in the DEL. I have that on good authority. And he chose Dusseldorf because he knows the story behind it, and he knows it's a franchise that he wants to see succeed. And then the last piece is the head coach of Dusseldorf is an Edmonton product himself. It's one Steven Reinprecht. So he's so there's so much Edmonton content there. The opportunity is there for you, Devin. I'm spending their money for you. Go and be a hero in Germany, buddy.
Who is? Oh, he played in the NHL. This guy,
Steven Reinprecht.
Yeah,
He was
Colorado, come on now.
Colorado Avalanche, former Calgary Flame too,
super duper young back then,
and an Edmonton product
played
himself.
for the St. Albert Saints in the AJHL.
There you go.
There you go. Captain of the University of Wisconsin. All right, there you go. As much as I love Devon Shaw and hope he would come back one day, I'll accept Dusseldorf.
Let's make him a folk hero in Germany, Liam.
That's what we have to do.
There you go.
That's what we have to do. But there you go. So I don't know how you want people to do this.
We're gonna clip this all together. Eli will help us out with our clip, and we'll tag Dusseldorf. We're gonna tag Devin, and we're gonna make it happen.
Sounds good. There you go. Thank you everyone for listening to Oilers Nation Radio. BM and Tyler will be back on Friday. Shout out to Pat, who had to be on the show today because he has to sit in that exact spot to do his work that he's trying to do. So credit to Pat, and thank you guys for actually coming up to work today.
Great show, Liam.
There you have it, folks. Farewell.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.